Hi there. Thanks for watching. Today is week 5 of our series, Because He Lives, We Run. And today's message is Disciples Run with Proclamation. This message is based in the book of Acts, chapter 8, from verse 26 to 40. The big idea I want to share with you is this. The risen Christ sent his people and disciples run when the Spirit prompts them. Have you ever noticed how quickly ideas spread in our world today? A single video posted online can reach millions of people in a matter of hours. A meme can travel across continents before the end of the day. Researchers studying social networks say information spreads fastest when someone shares it personally with someone they already know and trust. In other words, movements grow not simply through systems, but through relationships. History shows the same pattern. Whether it's scientific discoveries, humanitarian movements, or technological revolutions, change spreads through people who carry a message from one place to another. The Christian story spreads in exactly the same way. In Acts chapter 8, the gospel travels down a desert road. There are no stadiums, no microphones, no social media platforms. Just one follower of Jesus, one traveler reading scripture, and one moment where the Spirit of God says, go to the chariot and stay near it. That moment changed everything. Because resurrection life does not stay still. It moves through ordinary people who listen to the Spirit of God and act on his prompting. And when disciples run with proclamation, the message of Jesus travels farther than anyone could imagine. The first point I want to bring to you is this. The Spirit interrupts. This is from verse 26 to 29. Acts tells us that an angel of the Lord speaks to Philip and sends him south along a desert road. Then the Spirit gives a specific instruction. Go to that chariot and stay near it. Mission begins with listening. Philip had been ministering in Samaria, where many people were coming to faith. From a human perspective, living that momentum made little sense. But the Spirit interrupts our plans to guide us into God's purposes. Jesus prepared his followers for this kind of life. In John 16:13, he promised that the Spirit would guide believers into truth and direction. The early church understood that discipleship meant paying attention to the Spirit's voice. Charles Spurgeon once wrote, every Christian is either a missionary or an impostor. Spurgeon's point was not condemnation, but calling. The gospel was never meant to remain private. The Spirit still interrupts lives today. A name comes to mind, a conversation opportunity appears, a small nudge says, speak now. Mission often begins quietly with the willingness to listen when God prompts us toward someone else. The second point is this. Philip runs. That's verse 30. Luke records a simple but powerful phrase. Then Philip ran up to the chariot. He didn't hesitate. He didn't overanalyze. He moved. Obedience requires movement. Philip overhears the Ethiopian official reading from Isaiah 53. The man is searching for understanding. Philip asks a simple question. Do you understand what you're reading? That question opens the door for one of the most beautiful gospel conversations in the book of Acts. D.L. Moody once said, the world has yet to see what God can do with a man fully consecrated to him. Philip models that kind of responsiveness. He doesn't deliver a rehearsed speech. Instead, verse 35 says, Then Philip began with that very passage of scripture and told him the gospel of good news about Jesus. The gospel spreads through people who are willing to run when the Spirit prompts. Jesus himself described disciples this way when he said, "Follow me, and I'll send you out to fish for people." Matthew 4:19. Followers become messengers, and messengers move. That takes us to the third point, which is the gospel crosses boundaries, from verse 36 to 39. The Ethiopian official represents something remarkable in the story of Acts. He is from another nation, another culture, another social world. Yet the message of Jesus reached him on a desert road. This moment fulfills the mission Jesus gave his followers in Acts 1:8. You will be my witnesses to the ends of the earth. John Wesley captured the spirit of this calling when he famously declared, "The world is my parish." The resurrection message is not confined to one culture, one language, or one people group. It crosses boundaries because it addresses the deepest human need: reconciliation with God. C.S. Lewis wrote, "Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, is of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important." If the resurrection is true, then it matters for every person. That is why the Ethiopian man asks to be baptized immediately. Different background, different ethnicity, different story, but the same hope. Because the gospel is good news for the whole world. The gospel is good news for the whole world. The story ends with a beautiful picture. After the baptism, the Ethiopian official continues his journey rejoicing. Well, while Philip is carried away by the Spirit to continue preaching elsewhere. The Ethiopian image is very different from that young rich man who left Jesus sorrowful. The gospel is now traveling to another continent, all because one disciple listened to a prompting. The Christian life has always moved like this. Jesus sends his followers into everyday places where people are already searching, questioning, and wondering. Followers of Jesus carry a message of life, and love compels them to share it. Disciples run with the Spirit prompts, and when it stretches our comfort. Sometimes it begins with a question, sometimes with a conversation, sometimes with simply paying attention. But every time the gospel moves forward, it moves through people who respond to God's invitation. Because he lives, disciples run with proclamation. This week, ask one question. Where is God nudging you towards someone? Pray for someone. Start a meaningful conversation. Share one piece of your story with Jesus. You just need a willing heart. God bless you.